So we got Elimination Chamber this Saturday night. Very big show. And our pal from ESPN 1000 in Chicago, mornings over there, Busted Open Radio, Good Karma Wrestling. Jonathan Hood here with us. Jay Hood, always good to have you on. I love being able to catch up and talk some pro wrestling with you. Love hearing you on Busted Open every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon with Justin LaBar. Catch the clips, of course, for Good Karma Wrestling. That's every Thursday night. How you doing? You all right over there?
Zaz, I'm doing great, man. Thanks so much for having me. It's Elimination Chamber. Here we go. Now all the PLEs mean something, right? Before skippable, I get to now because of all the puzzle pieces, we got to watch everything. So I'm glad you and I could talk about it.
So how much did Rock's promo last week enhance your excitement for who Cody's potential opponent could be?
Enhanced it greatly. I think that what's odd about it, though, is that The Rock is all over the place. Mm-hmm. More so than anybody else in that company. Zaz, he's got autonomy to do whatever he wants to do and say whatever he wants to say. To the point where, if you remember last year, Triple H had a meeting with the staff and said, hey, I know you see what Dwayne Johnson's doing out there. You can't do that. We're still PG. Even though there's a lot of swears and a lot of stuff that he's doing, he can do and say whatever he wants to. You take a look at that promo from New Orleans and SmackDown. This guy went and vacillated between babyface and heel, nice. Where he says, hey, New Orleans, thanks so much for coming out, and then says, I'm going to slap the syphilis off your face to another fan. Like, what is going on? Like, are you a babyface or a heel? You know what he is? He's the final boss. He can do whatever he wants to, clearly. And so it is confusing. I would say that I'm very interested to find out where The Rock and Cody will be on this card coming up on Saturday. Where is it going to be in the card? Are they last after the men's elimination chamber? Are they in the middle of the card? Because it is pretty big to find out which side Cody will be on. So I'm
right. Rock said he's going to be there, of course, in Toronto on Saturday night. But correct me if I'm remembering wrong. He said he wants an answer Saturday night, right?
Correct. All right, because he says, I want your soul. He says, hey, Cody, listen, you're the company champion. You're the champion of the fans. You're champion of your family. But I need you to be my champion. So what this is it's another Eric Bischoff. It's another Vince Russo. It's another Vince McMahon, where the authority figure says, yeah, you're the champion of the company, but I want you to be my champion. And now it's the crossroads, literally, for Cody. Are you babyface, or are you going to be on the Rock side? Because he is the man in TKO. So which direction does Cody go? I think it's very interesting.
It reminds me a little bit of when Stone Cold won the title, his first title reign, and Vince wanted him to be his champion, and Stone Cold came out wearing the suit, right? Yeah. Before he eventually told McMahon, obviously, to stick it up his ass. You know, the part about this story that I love so much, and I feel like this has been happening for the last few years, and it goes, it started really with the Bloodline storyline, where these stories now in WWE, there are so many different ways they can go where we don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit a prisoner in the moment, but I feel like the storytelling and us just not knowing what they're going to do is the best it's ever been in that regard.
It is, because there's no direct path. For years and years and years, you and I have been watching wrestling, and you knew from Royal Rumble, all right, we know who is going to be the contender for the World Heavyweight Championship or whatever the big prize is in WWE. This time around, this could be Cody against Punk. This could be Cody against Roman. This could be Cody against Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre or a member of Bloodline 2.0. Who knows? Who really knows? But I will also point this out. And again, I have no knowledge about this yet. I have not talked to anybody about this. It makes me wonder, is the WWE, have they been scrambling the last couple of years because of Rock's schedule? Like, The Rock just pops out of nowhere on social media. Yeah, I'm going to show up on SmackDown. You're what? Right. What? Right. Yeah, you're what? You're around. You're going to be around SmackDown. Okay, well, now we're going to watch. And so it makes me wonder, does the WWE just kind of hold and just wait to see what Rock's schedule is so then they can move forward? Rock said, I'm sorry, it wasn't Rock. Dwayne Johnson said, because you know that we saw The Rock we saw the final boss and Dwayne Johnson on the same night, right? We saw this,
Right.
right? Because
Yes.
Dwayne Johnson was the guy with the glasses, the nerd glasses in the back, talking to the local media of New Orleans and talking about, well, this whole thing about me and Cody doesn't have to be about a match. So you're not wrestling at WrestleMania. So you gave that out for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, he just said he's not doing that. And that's another problem I've got because there's no mystery anymore. And also me and Cody, we had a tequila afterwards and we enjoyed that segment. What the hell's going on with our wrestling, Zaz? What the hell? There's no mystery anymore. It's wide open, the Netflix era, where they're just telling you everything that's going on. And I'm thinking, hey, you and I know with a wink and an eye what wrestling is. But the idea that you're just wide open with it, like you're just some major motion picture, that's troublesome. I like a little mystery in my wrestling.
So certainly, Cody, I don't know that it's as cut and dry that this is the start of Cody's heel turn. I know a lot of people think that this will be the heel turn. He's going to be the Rock's, champion. I think we're setting up for maybe it's SummerSlam, which, remember this coming summer, I believe is the first time SummerSlam is going to be 2 nights, right? Aren't they doing that this year?
I
think so.
Sure. Yeah.
Either this year or next year, but either way, they could be setting up Rock and Cody for SummerSlam, or they're very big on long-term storytelling these days. It could be for WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. Either way, I'm not sold on this being Cody's heel turn, but I do like the idea where if Cody does deny him, is there someone else who The Rock decides to turn to be his champion and then take on Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? Like that kind of idea, I think sounds pretty interesting.
Well, then let's just take the Vince Austin model that you just laid out, Zaz. So that means that when Cody says no, and I expect him to say no because, from a business standpoint, if he turns heel, well, what happens to my merchandise? what about all my T-shirts?
Before WrestleMania. You got to go into WrestleMania babyface.
Right, exactly. It's like, what about my merchandise? What about the kids? I can't make them cry before WrestleMania. So he's going to say no in Toronto, okay? He's going to say no. He goes, I'm the champion, but I can't be your champion. So if we take the Vince model that you just gave, so you know what that means? Like, The Rock is going to be like a third base coach just waving in heels to take on Cody. And so I think that that's what it is. I think that The Rock could talk Seth Rollins into taking on Cody. How about this one? How about The Rock talking John Cena into taking on Cody? How about that? Like,
well, yeah, does The Rock recruit whoever wins Elimination Chamber to be his champion?
Yes. That could be one of the people that's in the chamber. Now, again, does CM Punk win the chamber? Does CM Punk align himself with The Rock? Who knows? But what about Cena? Cena still says, I want to get one more championship before I'm retired. It doesn't mean that Cena turns heel necessarily, but he aligns himself with The Rock to take on Cody. So I just think from your model that you gave for Vince, I think that when Cody says no at the Elimination Chamber, what happens is The Rock says, okay, if you're not going to be my champion, I'll find my champion. And it might be in the Elimination Chamber.
I do believe Cena's going to win. I think he's going to win Elimination Chamber. Okay. And I wonder, go back to a very un-John Cena-like essentially promo that he cut at the press conference after Royal Rumble, where that sounded like a guy who is willing to do anything to main event WrestleMania, a guy who's willing to do anything to break the record. He even told everybody, me being in the main event is what's best for business. So I don't know. Could Cena align with The Rock in that spot? Because he is so desperate to win that title at WrestleMania. He's even willing to side with corporate Rock.
It was a different tone from Cena. That's for sure. I'm not going to take any questions. And he'd look right in the camera and just told you, like, what's best for business? Me being over, me winning the championship. And I kind of laughed, Zaz, because I'm just like, is this guy calling his shot? What's going on here? This guy's calling the shot. Like, you're looking right in the camera and said, I've done everything. I've been the first match. I've been the middle match. I've hung out with the fans. I've not been a part of WrestleMania. I've put guys over. It's like, you know what? I think it's time for me to take care of me in my last year in WWE. I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to be WWE champion. That would be something. I think all of us that are diehard wrestling fans have always wanted Cena with an edge. There was a story out there that Cena tells himself is like, you know what? Vince gave the thumbs up and he just took off. Went right to creative services, got the music ready, had the dark jorts. He was gonna go heel, and then he's like, no. They looked at the merchandise and like, nah, Cena, not now. So it never happened. But Cena's always had that in him. And so what if that happens? I like the idea of a promo battle between Cena and Cody, and that culminates into a championship match. I think it'd be great.
Let's say Cena. Do you think Cena's going to win? First of all, do you think he's going to win Elimination Chamber?
I had Punk, but then I don't know how that works with The Rock though. I always thought that Punk was going to win Elimination Chamber, and then go on to WrestleMania. That was my thought.
I mean, let's just say, like, if Punk wins, what do they do with Cena? Like, who is there for Cena at WrestleMania then?
Well, I mean, Cena's there for the year, and so if Cena falls short, I think somewhere down the line, maybe SummerSlam, maybe one of these Crown Jewel events, that he does have an opportunity to take on Cody or whomever.
No, but forget about the title. Just who would he fight at WrestleMania?
Not sure.
And it's got to be something huge if it's his last WrestleMania.
Well, that's the beauty of WWE lately, because there's a lot of choices.
No idea what direction they're going in. Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, I mean, and does he win that match at WrestleMania? I don't know. I just think that in his position, he says that he wants to go for the World Championship. So what I would say is, if he's going to be here for the rest of the year, and he's booked for 2025, if it is Cena and he does take on Cody, then Cena goes over.
Oh, I don't think so. I think he loses.
But then what about the rest of the year?
He may have another shot. You know, who knows? Maybe he has another shot.
Maybe it's twice. Maybe. Yeah, that's the beauty. Shot. See, that's the beauty of the company. It's not limited to just 4 guys or just it's only one guy. It's a litany of possibilities under Triple H's booking.
Can I also tell you, like Cena said, I'm going to become, the 17-time world champion, so I could be here to shake the hand of the guy who wins it an 18th time. Jay Hood, we're never going to see someone win it 18 times. Like the idea of Cena, and Flair too for that matter, but the idea of Cena winning and losing the title 17 total times, like especially the way Triple H does the booking now, these guys hold on to the title as they should for a good period of time. Like that record's never going to be broken.
No, we went through the era of the Attitude Era in WCW where there was a hot potato championship because they thought as viewers we need to watch the title move from left to right, up and down, the title changing every month, every 2 months. What happens now is even if it's Tony Khan in AEW, that someone holds the title for 4 or 5 months and they give it to someone else, and then it's someone else, and then someone else. In WWE, you have it for a lifetime. And by the way, that's the foundation of the business. Bruno having it for years, and Hogan having it for years, and and Ric Flair having it for years, off and on. So the idea that someone's going to have it 18 times, I think we're out of the era of the hot potato championship moving around so often like we had back in the 90s.
What do you imagine they do with Roman? He's not at Elimination Chamber, which to me is kind of a red herring where, okay, that means Rollins and Punk are not winning Elimination Chamber, or at least one, because he's got to fight one of them, you would figure, for WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, so I think I could see Roman and Seth hooking up because there's this whole thing of the Shield. They just keep bringing it back. I think that Seth has gotten a little heelish as of late. Mm-hmm. It's weird, though, Zaz. It's like, okay, I don't like shades of gray. Like, Seth Rollins has to be one or the other. If you're serious about wrestling and serious about beating someone's ass, you still got the flowery outfits on. You still got Becky Lynch's stuff on. Like, I can't take you seriously. Like, either you are about it or you're still back in the babyface character. And I just feel like him going back and forth does not give me an understanding of exactly what's going through Seth's mind. He's had some great promos over the last month or two, but he's still got the outfit on. He's still got the garish, loud outfit on. So I don't know how to take him seriously, but I feel like Seth and Roman will be matched up. I don't know about Punk, though, because what about the favor? The favor that he's owed by Paul Heyman. How's that factor into WrestleMania at all? Like, Punk is on TV so often, Zaz, it makes you think like he's going to be involved somehow in one of the main events at WrestleMania. It looks like at least the second one, because we already have Gunther and Jey Uso. That's one of the main events, I would think. So that's why it's very compelling what's happening here and how all the puzzle pieces fit.
I think we're looking at Reigns and Rollins for WrestleMania, which will
Okay.
be fantastic. And the favor, could be Punk. He tells Paul Heyman, I I we agreed I was going to get the main event at WrestleMania. You need to get me in this match with Reigns and Rollins, and maybe it becomes a three-way in that regard. Like I think Punk's got to get in the main. And while that wouldn't be for a title, I suppose. I mean, can you make that main event of night one? You probably could, right?
I mean, you can if Jey Uso and Gunther leads off the show. I mean, but but who knows?
Do you believe? Let's forget about what I just said. Do you believe Gunther Jey Uso is going to close one of the nights? I don't.
I mean, Jey Uso's over. I mean, and Gunther's over. But the point is, though, is that out of all the reactions you see, it's Jey Uso. People love Jey Uso, and they want to see him to get his moment because he keeps getting beat by Gunther. It could be the opener. It could be the closer. It could be either one of those things. But I think that Jey Uso winning the world championship matters to that company because Gunther matters to the company.
Yeah, it does. But don't forget, Kofi Kingston in New York won the world title, a WWE title. It was not the last match. It did not go on last. And that was a very big deal. That was a huge reaction. And it was a major story going into that WrestleMania. It did not close the show.
Yeah. It's interesting because, with Jey and Gunther, I love the story. We know Jay's going to win the championship.
Yep.
Just don't know where that is placed on the card. But I think, again, it's no shade on Uso. If that's the first match, that gets the crowd going. That's the top of it. You're yeeting up the whole time. You're having a great time. Like, oh my God, fireworks at the beginning. Jey Uso finally beats Gunther. Now you just move forward. And and by the way, because it's the Triple H era, the cards are tightened a lot in his era. So maybe that's the first match of 4 or 5 at WrestleMania in night one. Who knows?
How about the women? I'll tell you what I think first. It was very clear that Raquel and Liv were going to win the titles this week. They need those titles off of Bianca because I think Bianca wins on Saturday nights.
Yeah, I think that people want to see Bianca against Rhea Ripley. And now I don't know how Jade Cargill involves herself in the match or if she shows up or whatever.
Oh, Bianca's the culprit, right?
I guess.
I think so.
But she's a babyface.
No, I think she's gonna be a heel.
Well, if nothing else, Jade's gonna blame her. If nothing else.
Why didn't you call me? You never checked on me. You gave away my title to Naomi.
If nothing else, maybe Jade is the reason why Bianca falls short in the match too. Little leg trip there on the apron, a little something like that gives Rhea Ripley the opportunity to win, something like that. I could definitely see that. But Bianca told us on Good Karma Wrestling late last year that she believes that that's a dream match, that she's always wanted that. But she's also said this, and this is commonplace now in wrestling, especially in WWE, when we are blessed to be able to have a WWE superstar on, what they're saying is, I don't concern myself with the title. I just want to be part of a story. Because they see what happens with the bloodline, 4 years of this. Chelsea Green said the same thing to me. They love the idea of being in a story with teeth, where it's long lasting. They don't have to worry about a championship. They just want to be on TV telling the story. And for Bianca Belair, I think she loses. First of all, she wins the chamber. She loses against Rhea, but then there might be a story there with her and Jade that lasts a while. So I look forward to that.
I feel like Bianca is the only reasonable possibility Saturday night. Like I would give a slim chance to Bayley, but outside of that, Naomi's not winning. Alexa Bliss just returned. She's not winning. Who else is even? I'm forgetting. Is Raquel and Liv there in it, aren't they?
Is Raquel in there? I'm not sure.
Liv is definitely in it. They're not redoing Liv and Rhea.
Raquel. Yeah.
I think it's got to be Bianca with a very slim chance being Bayley.
I think that's right. I think that seems right to me. I feel like of all the good that you've seen from WWE, they have not done a good job with the women. They have not. There's only a couple of stories there. I feel like they're in transition somewhat too. I think that the Liv, Morgan, and Rhea Ripley storyline was way too long, and so I think that that's a problem. But I think that from the women's standpoint, when we see Lyra Valkyria, some of these Roxanne Perez, I mean, they're good wrestlers, but she's
also in the chamber. She's the one I forgot.
Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
She's okay. I mean, again, it's fine, but you compare this to the men, and the women fall short as far as the stories. There's been complaints out there. I don't know if you saw that from Fightful Select, a little story
Mhm.
out there that women quietly are saying, "Hey, what's going on with my role?" Because it's not level, Zaz. So I think that Triple H's got some work to do when it comes to women. But I would agree with you. If you're going to put a box office match out there with women, I think Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair could be one of the top matches of night 2, possibly for WrestleMania. We'll see.
Do you have any favorite? Elimination Chamber hasn't always been the path to WrestleMania. Do you have any favorite, like you think of Elimination Chamber? Do any big moments come to mind for you?
I think the first one, because the first one reminded me of the first UFC. You remember the first UFC guy? It was just a mess because you
Mm-hmm.
got guys with gis and they're just like, it's
Yeah, yeah.
wrestlers and karate guys. It's just like, when you look back at it, it's like, it's nothing like the UFC today. So what I remember is, it's just like the chain link fence when it first came out. When I first saw it, I'm like, this looks crazy. And I saw legit pain on those wrestlers because they weren't used to the grading, the grading floors, and just
Yep.
like that's what I remember most about. I was like, I don't know. My thought was at the time, this can't last because it looked brutal, right? It looked it was more than a cage match. That was the whole premise of this is bigger than a cage match, and so I think that they've been able to have better spots now. It's a little bit more safer. But when it first started, man, it looked gritty to the point where there's some real pain for the wrestlers. That's what I remember the most.
There were two that I remember early on that stand out the most to me. Obviously, you had Goldberg, who speared
Goldberg.
Chris Jericho through the pod,
Yeah.
but then in that match, Triple H with the sledgehammer beats Goldberg. I think it was the first time Goldberg was pinned in WWE,
Mm-hmm.
so that was kind of a big moment. And then maybe the next year, Shawn Michaels won the world championship out of nowhere, winning the Elimination Chamber. That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I recall that. I prefer Shawn Michaels 2.0 versus 1.0. The comeback to me, Zaz, was look, we saw some great moments from Michaels early, Cactus Jack taking on a lot of, but I just, or Mankind at the time, but I thought that Michaels' redemption story, those matches against The Undertaker, Elimination Chamber right there, winning the title, I appreciate him actually a lot more. Triple H, those bloody battles with Triple H. Actually,
Mhm.
I appreciated Sean more the second time around coming back from the back injury than the first time around.
Ric Flair turned 76 a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
You got a favorite Ric Flair moment, Ric Flair match?
Well, moment is meeting Ric Flair for the first time in Anderson, Indiana. I couldn't show you where that is on a map, except I could show you it's in Indiana. But it was at a Duke
Uh-huh.
of Oil, right? As a one of those oil express places where you get your oil changed and you get your windshield wiper
Oh,
blades
so
changed.
it wasn't a wrestling event. It was just random.
Oh, that's no. I mean, that's one. That's one. That's where I first met him. The first time was that there, and I'm the person that's doing the hosting of Ric Flair. Flair shows up in a town car. He comes out, and I said, "Hey, could you do this caller for the radio station? They just want to talk to you." And he goes, "Okay, kid, where am I?" I go, "You're in Anderson, Indiana, Rick."
That's
Okay.
funny.
I didn't know where he was because
Right.
of a night
Makes
of
sense.
drinking in
Yeah.
Indianapolis, someplace. He goes, "Where am I, kid?" That's one thing. And just the other thing is like, as someone that loves Ric Flair for a long, long time, I just thought his matches with Ricky Steamboat in '89 were classic. I was there when he lost the title against Ricky Steamboat at the UIC Pavilion, and then saw the Clash of Champions afterwards, where he loses 2 out of 3 against Ricky Steamboat in New Orleans, Clash of Champions, and then wins it in Nashville. Different matches, 3 great matches against Steamboat. So I'll always remember that. And he was just the best, man. Anytime that you have a guy that tells you on TBS, hey, let me just tell you, if you have a full sweater and you're going to be around the Marriott in Baltimore, come on down. Woo! It's just like a full sweater. He says it on TV. If you got a full sweater and you're going to be around the Marriott, come on down. And just think about this as in the time. You're saying
Hmm.
this on TV. You're in Atlanta and you fly to Baltimore. You wrestle 60 minutes against Ronnie Garvin or whatever. You go to the hotel and there's just women lined up in the lobby just to come see
Hmm.
you, and they're at the hotel bar. I mean, he was just the best. How could you call your shot like that? But he did. It was amazing. So, I mean, that series in '89 against Steamboat stands out a lot for me.
I love hearing the stories how, and obviously, we're talking during the territory days and the NWA, and and he's the world champion. But back then, the world champion was really the world champion because he traveled to all the countries, and he was. It's not like when WWE does an appearance, they do a tour in Australia or wherever. You're fighting all the same guys in your promotion. He's wrestling the guys in that promotion and that promotion and that promotion because he's the world champion, and they knew him everywhere. That I love hearing about that.
I mean, that's just amazing to me. When you leave the roost of Charlotte and Atlanta for the Crockett, and you go to all the other NWA cities, and you're taking on some of the best and some of the worst as well. Hey, Rick, I need you to go to Kansas City and wrestle Rufus R. Jones for 60 minutes. Well, Rufus R. Jones, I mean, he's got the lateral quickness of a rose bush, and you gotta carry that guy for 60 minutes. It's unbelievable. Terry Taylor tells this story in Mid-South. So Ric Flair's traveled from, I don't know, Texas to New Orleans or whatever, and Terry Taylor's never taken on Ric Flair. And Ric Flair comes in, rolls his bag in, sits down on the bench, and he's just worn out, right? He's just worn out for the night before he finally got there. And then Terry Taylor's insulted because he hasn't talked to Ric Flair. And so Terry Taylor goes into the locker room and says, hey, Mr. Flair, I'm Terry Taylor. I'm wrestling you tonight. Okay, kid, do me a favor. Wake me up in 30 minutes to bring me a cup of coffee. And Terry's like, what? Bring this guy a cup of coffee? What the hell's going on? This guy's not going to be able to wrestle. He's hungover. Look at him. He looks terrible. I mean, look at it. He wants me to bring him a cup of coffee? Well, F that. I'm not doing that. They go to the ring, and Terry's like, oh, I'm going to carry this guy, the world champion. He's hungover. He wrestles Terry Taylor for an hour. And Terry Taylor is sucking wind 20 minutes in. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh my God, this guy actually is the man, because he thought he was going to have to carry the world champion because he's been drinking the whole night. And then Ric Flair comes in and just dog walks him for 60 minutes.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's who he is. That's who he was, though. And then, of course, the next night he's in Florida. Next night he's in Charlotte. Next night he's in Chicago. Next night he's in, so I just think that Flair being the real champion, the real world champion, he really was, because he took on the best and the worst and made companies better wherever he went.
God, that was such a big deal to me as growing up a WWF kid, and then Ric Flair arrives, in 91. We know he eventually wins the Rumble in 92.
Yeah.
And right when he arrives, he's the real world's champion, and he's holding up the belt, which they have to blur off the screen because there's a legal issue there. And it's like, what? Like, I knew who Ric Flair was because I used to get, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and so I knew the NWA guys, but I was a WWF kid. And so Ric Flair arrives, and he's calling himself the real world champion, and I'm a Hulk Hogan kid. And it's like, oh my God, this guy, like, this is a very big deal. Ric Flair is here now.
Yeah, it's such a big time because Rick actually could have been in WWF at the time in '89 and decided, no, I'm going to stick with Crockett. They've been good to me. Ted Turner's been good for me. So I'm going to, because he's going to get left a couple of years earlier. And so he decides to finally make that jump. And Vince puts the belt on him a couple times, I believe. And so, the thing that's so unfortunate about that is that we never got Hogan Flair in a big spot in WWF. Right. They did in house shows, and Vince said it didn't work. And I'm just like, and to me, for wrestling guys like you and I growing up, that was the penultimate match. You want to see the guy from the NWA against the guy from the WWF, and
but you know what? Worked. It was WrestleMania 8. It's weird that they didn't do it, but you know what? We got Macho winning the title off of Flair at that show, and it was a great match, and it was a great story because that was when Flair was doctoring the pics that he was sleeping with Miss Elizabeth.
Yes,
so it was a great story leading up to that feud at WrestleMania 8. But anyway, Jay Hood, tell everybody how they can catch you. Of course, Good Karma Wrestling on Thursdays and Busted Open every Sunday. Anywhere else that folks can catch you that you need to mention?
Yeah, ESPN 1000 in Chicago. We have our own ESPN Chicago app, and we get a chance to talk about Chicago sports and everything else. So I do that Monday through Friday in the morning with David Kaplan. We have a fun time with that. And the wrestling, I'm having a ball with it, man. I mean, just being able to be on Busted Open, great platform for me, working with Justin LaBar. I just did a Black History special with Mark Henry. Just did that a couple days ago, and that's out too. Got a chance to talk to Jazz, got a chance to talk to Teddy Long and O'Shea Jackson. That guy is
Oh, that's great.
He's a big wrestling fan like we are.
Yeah.
It's like the origins of him being a wrestling fan is interesting. So we delve into that and Good Karma Wrestling. You know, we do every Thursday on YouTube. So we're having a fun time. I mean, and by the way, what a great time to be on your platform and being on our platform, because wrestling is hot. It's hot again across the board. Not just WWE, AEW, all the indies. The attendance is up. The interest is up in the business. So I just think that we're in a great time right now, in a great groove in pro wrestling as far as the conversation.
I think it's the biggest it's ever been. Everybody looks at everybody, the Attitude Era is on this pedestal. And look, I remember it. It was amazing every Monday night. It'll never be like that on, Monday nights will never be like that ever again. But as a whole, I think overall it's the best it's ever been right now.
Yeah, it's so hot right now. The old adage, Zaz, was if New York's hot, everyone's hot. That's an old adage from 1984 where it's like, hey, how's Vince doing up there? Oh, they're drawn. Well, guess what? We're drawn too, because wrestling's funny that way. When WWE's hot, everyone eats. All through the independents, you go through your Instagram, you take a look at those crowds, 1,000 people, 750 people, 2,000 people. TNA's doing well. NXT's doing well. AEW's getting better, and they're doing well. They got a TV deal out of it because of WWE's success. Yep. So I just think it's great for all of us wrestling fans because we have so much to choose from.
Great job, J Hood. Good catching up with you, man. We'll talk again before WrestleMania.
Daz, as always, man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.